The rubber mallet drums repetitively on the wooden cylinder, which together is applying a steady pressure on a stuck sink plug. But the effort is to no avail.
This damn thing is stuck surer than shit, Wyndi.
Manny says to his teammate. He pauses to wipe the sweat from his brow, moving his visor up to do so.
All right then. I'm going back inside and leave you out here. Told you doing it outside wouldn't be any better. Maybe try some WD-40?
She says, standing and walking away.
I done told you the daylight is better for me and for doing this. Can you just, not be such a bossy bitch for once? I'll get it unstuck. Just need a few minutes.
He answers, also standing and looking around the sparse grassy field for his tool bag. He adjusts his visor to block the midday sun from his eyes.
Suit yourself.
She says without turning to face him.
More food for us the longer you take out here. Later.
She says and hums a tune as she makes her way up the slight incline, leading to what appears to be a one-story wooden structure that had the look of an Eastern temple. Wyndi and Monty work together, and while she does outrank him, he is left in large part to his own devices and retains a great deal of autonomy within the esoteric order to which they belong. Descriptions are, I guess, called for in these such things. So fine, so be it. Manny and Wyndi both wear short-sleeve button shirts with red and white vertical stripes, gray dress pants. They also wear black half aprons or full aprons, depending on the duties of the day. Messy work means the full apron, while simply patrolling or walking about and inspecting things would warrant the half apron. They wear dark, comfortable shoes and red visors. Monty, now alone, fidgets with the mallet and ponders the power and functionality of the thing. He knows that they are primarily used to strike objects without damaging them. They are a blunt, soft weapon, and this humors him.
We're all just tools. Blunt and is soft and blunt. But we tools need recharging, and there's pizza and cola up there that I gotta get to. So how can I get this damn plug to pop up?
He stares down at the sink lying in the grass, recalls how he disassembled the thing and brought it all the way out here against Wyndi's advice in order to get what he argued for, natural light. In truth, Monty simply wanted to be out of doors for a spell, a chance to breathe in some nature and just be out in the great wide open. Knowing that this would be just a short reprieve from inside chores leaves him frustrated, and it wouldn't matter whether he fixed this stuck sink plug in a minute or an hour. He would eventually have to go back inside again. It's times such as this that Monty wishes he could just punch something or scream or throw whatever he was holding far afield. He looks down at the mallet in his hands, lost in his own brooding. Please don't misunderstand dear Monty. He is a happy sort most of the time, and he is truly grateful to be a part of their special club, as he likes to call the order. Hell, he even has a special club members only ring to show for it. These special rings are also known as hollerin' rings or holler at 'em rings. Monty never takes his off. He harbors an irrational fear that should it be removed, then he would cease to exist, that he would vanish. Nevertheless, there are still things about Manny's living situation that he finds less than stellar. His memory is hazy, like others who belong to their order. A good friend and ex-captain is gone, long gone, believed reassigned, or maybe even dead. No one seems to know for sure. Monty has his own quarters, a place to sleep, good food, not much work responsibilities, except to make sure the machinery keeps on working. He's been with the order long enough now that his seniority affords him the pleasure of being more or less his own boss, no matter what the others might think or say. Yet, despite his autonomy, Mani feels incomplete somehow, empty, unfulfilled, and he dreams of what he could have been and should have been if he'd only had the chance, or maybe taken advantage of missed opportunities, or who can tell? Mani himself doesn't even know. Mani longs for a Mani that never was, and a Mani that likely never would be. This is the frustration that lies deep within, and this is the dormant under pressure that forces its way to the surface on rare occasions. This inner lava flow of regret is what drives him to want to throw the mallet. That sense of frustration of what might have been, what could have been, and what never would be. It longs to erupt, to blow forth all the anger, the hurt, the pain. Alongside those inner primal urges exists a childish side, very much alive and kicking, and it is this impish playmate in his psyche which longs to channel those urges into action, to throw that rubber mallet not just with force, but with style, to twirl that thing round and round like the cartoon heroes Mani watches when alone in his quarters. Mani now takes notice of a hole at the end of the handle, and an idea comes upon him. He gets to work, fashioning an impromptu strap at the end by using his visor, forcing the visor strap through the hole and then poking the bulk of the visor through the loop that pops out the other side of the hole. In this manner, Mani has made his twirling mallet, positioning himself so that the tower is behind him. Mani begins the twirl, building up a steady rhythm with his right hand. Round and round it goes. He feels the centrifugal forces pulling at his wrist, a pleasing sensation for his inner child, to be sure. Gauging the spin and having his tongue stuck out of a corner of his mouth to assist in mental calculations, Mani at last lets his burden fly forth. Unfortunately for Mani, the mallet doesn't so much fly forth as launch directly up into the air. For the first microsecond, though, he is pleased with the result, estimating it would likely achieve some 20 meters or more in height. His mind cannot adequately guess how high, as the first microsecond soon ends, and it is there, in the following microseconds, that his mistake dawns on him, that he has unintentionally hurled a missile into the air directly above him. He is now under a heavy ranged attack against himself from himself. Mani begins screaming and running pell-mell. Hither and yon he darts, he dashes, doing his best to duck, his hands raised palms up over his head, never once thinking that he could simply look up and discover the true trajectory for himself. After a few terrible moments of suspense, Mani hears a loud on the ground behind him and to his left. Catching his breath as he crosses the short distance, he congratulates himself on his prowess and good fortune in dodging the attack. Grabbing onto his visor, he retrieves the mallet, his mind, having learned nothing from the first attempt, already is at work with mental preparations for another volley. This time would be different, though, he assures himself. Straightforward, maybe a little high, above the horizon, so that the mallet could achieve a really nice arc. Winding up the spin, Mani releases the mallet. Once again, it soars into the air, but this time, Mani's aim is true. The mallet traverses many, many meters, Mani's visor fluttering at the tail section, like a hapless handcuffed hostage, hurtling into the unknown. A smile of accomplishment forms on Mani's wide, moon-shaped face as he marches victoriously forward to claim his prize. He knows his limits. That is, Mani is aware of the standing rule of how far the crew is permitted to wander from the base camp, but he reckons that he will only be crossing that imaginary barrier for a brief moment. This too gives him a boost of confidence and a sense of agency. There it is, sprawled out in the grass before him, and just to the right of some sort of small tree or shrub. Monty knows not, nor cares not which. With an easy swoop of his hand, Monty claims the mallet from the ground, its smooth and firm handle, feeling like the weight of some trophy in his grip, from its bulbous head to the foot of its handle, the tip with the hole in it. He holds the hole up to his eye and peers through it as if it were some secret agent spyglass. He then pivots with the thing, as one might do with the periscope of an old-timey submarine. Bored of the periscope game, Monty walks back across the imaginary barrier, once again within the protocol boundary of base camp. He is smiling, for he has confirmation that the mallet is real. It has mass. Why should this matter? Simple, for if the mallet is real, then he, too, must be real as well. Else, how could it have survived crossing the barrier? And how could he be hefting it? And it is this reaffirmation that is at the core here for Monty, an affirmation of not just his worth, but of his existence, of his solidity. Having found his tool bag and the WD-40 within, Monty gets back to work on that stuck sink stopper. Just a quick spray or two of the WD-40 followed by some mild, repetitive pressure might do the trick, he assures himself. He pauses to wipe the sweat from his brow, brush his long, curly brown hair from his eyes, and then scratch at an itchy spot atop his head.